Hey demons, it's me, your girl Taylor. Today's video is going to be my most anticipated reads from July to December. I did do a most anticipated reads of 2019 way back when I first started my channel, I think in like December or early January, and it's not my best work. I was still getting used to filming and all of that. I did have a lot of books that I was really excited to read, but it was definitely focused more towards the first half of the year, and it also was not as complete as I would have liked it to be because I just was not good at finding new releases. So now that I've gotten a little bit better about navigating like the book internet spaces like Goodreads and all of that, it's become a lot easier for me to find books that are coming out this year, coming out farther in the future, and I thought I would just sit down and kind of do a little informal video just kind of talking about books that I'm really excited to read and to kind of put some books on your radar. So the first book that I am super excited to read is Wilder Girls, and that is by Rory Power. This one comes out July 9th. So from this book, I've heard that it is good feministy horror and it also has good LGBTQ rep. I am not too sure where that fits in. I'm not sure what kind of representation that is, but I have heard that it does have good representation. So I'm interested in seeing what that will be when this book comes out. So Wilder Girls takes place at a school for girls. It looks like it's also on an island, and it's kind of a contagion story. It's been put under quarantine because there is a disease called the tox that has hit, and it's killed the teachers off one by one, and it's beginning to infect the students as well. The main character is named Hetty, and her friend Bayat goes missing, and so she wants to do anything that she can to help find her. And it looks like she goes on a quest to find her friend despite the quarantine and despite the disease that is threatening this community. So that looks really good. I'm always on the hunt for good feministy horror because a lot of the household names, let's face it, are written by men. So I'm always looking for some great horror books written by women. So I'm very excited for that one, and that's coming out real soon. Also, I'm trying to go in order for these, but I really jumped the gun on Wilder Girls. That comes out July 9th. These next two books I'm talking about come out July 2nd. So they're all very early July releases. But my next anticipated read comes out July 2nd. It's The Best Lies by Sarah Liu. This has a really cool looking cover, first of all, but it is billed as Thelma and Louise meets a Gone Girl in this twisted psychological thriller about the dark side of obsessive friendship, and that just sounds really fascinating to me. I've seen conflicting kind of information about this one. Some people say there's LGBTQ, there's like a sapphic relationship in there, and other people say that it's just a very intense best friendship. Either way, I think it's going to be awesome. Always down for sapphic representation. However, to me at least, this does kind of look like best friendship and exploring like really deep, intense female love, but just like as friends. So I'll be interested to see where that kind of actually ends up falling, because it does look like early reviewers are kind of split between they're actually lovers or they're just really intense best friends. So we'll definitely see how that plays out. The next anticipated read also comes out on July 2nd, and that is The Whisper Network by Chandler Baker. And this is kind of marketed as a Me Too thriller. So the tagline is 4 women learn that their boss, a man who's always been surrounded by rumors about how he treats women, is next in line for a CEO promotion. What will happen when they decide that enough is enough? It looks like it's going to be a great thriller with a lot of feminist themes and a lot of themes that are very, very relevant in society today about relationships in the workplace and the Me Too movement, and how women are kind of getting the courage to, it looks like these 4 women are banding together, which is awesome. I love a great women dynamic where women are for and not against each other, especially in like a work setting thriller. I feel like a lot of the times women are pitted against each other, but it looks like this is a gang of women that is combining together to try and stop this man who has done some questionable things in the past from being promoted. The next anticipated read of mine comes out September 10th, and that is The Institute by Stephen King. This is already being marketed as Firestarter meets It, and those are 2 of my favorite Stephen King books. I think he just treats children really, really well, especially like child friendships really, really well. It's following a boy named Luke who gets taken from his home and wakes up at a place called the Institute. And there he meets friends that have special gifts like he does, like telekinesis and telepathy, and he gets told by one of the other children at the Institute, once you check in, you never check out. So this also kind of gives a little bit of Stranger Things vibes as well, with the whole 11 and the Institute plot line there. I'm just really excited. Y'all already know I love Stephen King. I already am gonna buy anything that he writes, but this in particular sounds like it's gonna be right up my alley with a lot of his work that he's done in the past that I've really loved. So I'm really looking forward to this one. The next anticipated read also comes out on September 10th, and that is The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, and that is the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. And The Handmaid's Tale was actually one of the only books that I read in high school that I ended up really enjoying. I haven't watched the TV show. The Handmaid's Tale was obviously written a while ago, and it was very open-ended at the ending, and I'm very interested to see kind of which direction Margaret Atwood is going to take her sequel, if she'll kind of go in like the direction that the show is going. Again, I've never seen the show, so I don't know really what happens there, but it'll be interesting to see where she takes her characters and her story from there. The next book is also coming out on September 10th. It's apparently a really great day for book releases, and that is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Moore, and this one Rhiannon from Crescent Moon reads. They raved about this one, and it's one of their favorite books now. So on Goodreads it says this book unveils a solar system of swordplay, cutthroat politics, and lesbian necromancers. Okay, sign me up. This looks like kind of science fiction fantasy combined together, and I am here for it. It looks great. It's getting a lot of hype. It sounds like the hype is very well deserved, but I'm very curious to pick this one up. So yeah, the hype is definitely getting to me on this one because I have heard this one really making the rounds on BookTube, and I'm really intrigued to see if the hype lives up for this one. My next anticipated read comes out September 17th, and that is The Gracier by Kim Leggett. This is a feminist dystopia, kind of in the same sort of realm, I would say, as Handmaid's Tale. And Goodreads says The Gracier examines the complex and sometimes twisted relationship between girls, the women they eventually become, and the difficult decisions they have to make in between. So this one is about a 16-year-old girl named Tierney James, and she dreams of a better life, one where society doesn't pit friend against friend, women against women. In this society, there is a gracier that no one talks about. It's forbidden to talk about it. It sounds like in this world, women have the power to lure grown men from their beds, drive other women mad with jealousy, and they believe their very skin emits a powerful aphrodisiac, the essence of youth. The woman on the edge of womanhood is very potent, I guess, in these kind of qualities. So when they turn 16, they are banished from their community, are made to release their magic into the wild so they can return back and be pure and ready for marriage. There's a lot to unpack there. It sounds very mystical, very dark. I'm very interested to see kind of how this is going to go. I can't tell from the synopsis if it's actually like mystical powers that these women have, or if it's just, you know, a bunch of play on just women and sexuality, but either way, looking forward to this one. Gorgeous cover, really intriguing premise, so I'll be picking this one up for sure. My next anticipated read comes out October 3rd, and that is The Secret Commonwealth by Philip Pullman. This is the second book in the Book of Dust trilogy, which is the sequel trilogy to the His Dark Material series. Can't say too much about it because I'm actually not reading the synopsis because I haven't read the first Book of Dust book yet. I'm actually currently rereading all of His Dark Materials in preparation to read that book, so it's all fresh in my mind, and this one, looking forward to it because it follows adult Lyra, and this is something I've been waiting for. It was kind of a letdown when I learned that the Book of Dust followed someone else completely and Lyra was just kind of a secondary character, but this is following a grown-up Lyra. I'm just so excited to see what she turned out like, and since this one is very sequely to everything that's happened in the universe, I can't explain too much about it, but yeah, I'm super excited. I'm gonna be pre-ordering this, probably cracking it open as soon as it gets here, provided that I finish the Book of Dust first, so fingers crossed on that one. Yeah, this one and The Institute probably tied for my top favorite releases of this entire year, the ones I'm most looking forward to reading. The next anticipated read comes out October 8th, and that is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I am really looking forward to seeing how Renee Ahdieh does vampires. She has this wonderful lyrical writing style that I think would really enhance a vampire story and really just be like a perfect fit for that. Her writing has been kind of hit or miss for me. I really enjoyed the Rose and the Dagger duology, and then the other one, I didn't finish it because I wasn't as much of a fan of. I love vampire books, and I think her writing would lend really well to just like a sultry, lyrical vampire tale, so I'm looking forward to that one. It takes place in New Orleans. you know, that city is just infamous for vampires, so I am very interested to see how this will kind of take some vampire tropes and kind of turn them on its head, because if you are setting your vampire book in New Orleans, you really have to put in work, I feel like, to distinguish it from all of the vampire lore that's come out of New Orleans, because a lot of the big players have come out of there. But I'm really excited to see what that one's gonna be about. Looking forward to picking that one up as well. The next anticipated release comes out October 1st, and that is Imaginary Friend by Stephen CHBOSKY. You heard that right, guys. It is a new book from the person who wrote Perks of Being a Wallflower, and it is a horror book, so that's really exciting. If that weren't enough to sell you on it, it has probably one of my favorite tropes in horror movies and in books. It's about imaginary friend. We all know little kids already say or do like some pretty creepy shit already without there being ghosts in the picture, but add an imaginary friend who may or may not be real, and that just kind of bumps it up to a whole other level. I'm the oldest of 5, and I have dealt with, you know, some weird stuff. Little kids say weird things sometimes. Little kids have imaginary friends that are like a little bit creepy. Can't imagine an imaginary friend being actually, you know, it looks like a ghost or a demon or something. Looks really good. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. My next anticipated release comes out on October 10th. Yeah, October 10th, and that is Full Throttle by Joe Hill. It's a short story collection by Joe Hill. He's written some of my favorite horror, like Horns and Nosferatu. The cover and title made me a little nervous because I'm definitely not a motorcycle person, and I know in real life Joe Hill is like a car and motorcycle fanatic. Not fanatic, that's the wrong word, but aficionado. But it says, this masterful collection of 13 tales of timeless human struggles. It says it's a darkly imagined odyssey through the complexities of the human psyche. So I don't think it's gonna be like about motorcycles, which is good because I'm not a car person, I'm not a motorcycle person, so I'm glad that this looks like it has a wider appeal than what I initially thought that it would be. Granted, Nosferatu was also a lot about vintage cars and motorcycles and stuff like that, and I really, really loved that one, so I mean, either way, I'm looking forward to it. And there's not a lot about this one so far. It does say there's going to be a story co-written by his dad, Stephen King, in there, so probably going to be a really solid collection. Joe Hill does tend to write really well in the short story format, so I'm really looking forward to that one. And then the last book I have on my anticipated books coming out in 2019 comes out November 5th, and it is The Witches Are Coming by Lindy West. This is a non-fiction book, and it is by the New York columnist and best-selling author of Shrill, which is now like a Hulu, I think it's Hulu. It's a Hulu series starring A.D. Bryant, but this is a nonfiction about the Me Too movement, and it provides a brilliant and incisive look about how patriarchy, intolerance, and misogyny have conquered not just politics, but American culture itself. I am really, really into nonfiction, and probably one of the genres that I do like the most is feminist nonfiction, and a lot of the feminist nonfiction that I have read has been a little dated because honestly there's just so much to keep up with year after year. This looks like it's going to have a dual perspective on politics and culture, which usually I find books kind of deal with one or the other, so it'll be really interesting to see how the two of them combine. I've heard great things about Lindy West as an author, which is always so important when it comes to nonfiction, is having someone who can write like a really engaging narrative, because I do feel like nonfiction books kind of have a stigma of being dry and not as interesting to read. So if you have a good author behind it, nonfiction books are amazing. This just looks like it's gonna be right up my alley. I've heard great things about the author, so I am really looking forward to that one as well. How many times did I say that in this video? Probably a lot, a little repetitive on that front. And that's gonna be the end of this video. This is by no means an all-encompassing list of the books that I'm looking forward to in 2019. There are so many. I ended up just picking some of the ones that I hadn't heard as much hype about and the ones that I'm really looking forward to, but there were so many other books that didn't make it to this list that I'm also looking forward to. There's just a lot coming out that just looks amazing. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below which of these books sounded the most like something you'd want to pick up, and if you have a book that you're really excited that's coming out in 2019 that I didn't talk about, leave it down below so I can check it out as well. So go ahead and do that, but I'm gonna close out this video now. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!